I'm Dr. Larry Hirsch from Beit in Israel, and you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight. But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're going to see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about that.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We're here in Chicago, Illinois with our Israel commentator, our good friend, Rabbi Dr. Larry Hirsch. Baruch haba. Welcome back to Chicago. This is our Winter 5780 show, as we try and do a show once or twice a year to kind of update what's going on in Israel, what's going on for those living in Israel and their situations as far as peace, as far as hopefully safety, as far as living side by side with the Muslim and Arab populations that are nearby them when they live in the West Bank, and as far as what's going on politically in Israel. And Dr. Hirsch, last time you were here, it was before the second set of elections, which took place not too long ago. And it was actually after the first set of elections, when the second set of elections had been decided on. And we talked about the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu, after the first set of elections, was not able to put together a coalition of parties to have enough people, a majority, to set up a government. And thus, they set up second elections. And you were talking about predictions in those elections. And you did predict that Benjamin Netanyahu would continue to be prime minister, and he is still the prime minister. So you were right about that. But something that I want you to explain to us, why is that still up in the air for the future? Why is he still prime minister, yet he still doesn't have a coalition? What happens in cases like this?
Okay, well, there haven't been cases like this. The Knesset is formed of 120 members of Knesset, parliamentarians. The ideal would be one party gets 61 and majority and forms
61 seats.
61 seats,
which
61
means,
members of Knesset.
Which means that they don't have to be from their party, but they would have to be from a coalition. How does that work?
That's true. What I meant was, ideally, Likud party gets 61, Benjamin Netanyahu forms a government, and that's the end of the story.
Until
no one has ever gotten 61 seats. Even Gurion, I think the best he ever did was 48. And therefore, British style, you have to form a coalition. So that means you bring in other parties. For the first 30 years of Israel's existence, 48
from 1948
to 77 to the big, what's called in Hebrew, Mapach, the revolution. That term came from Israel's leading newscaster, Chaim Yavin. Mapach, he declared on election night 77 that Begin had finally, Likud, Herut, had finally beaten the Labour Party. For 30 years, the Labour Party brought in other parties, usually socialist parties. The Mafdal, Mizrahi, originally the religious Zionists were often one of the partners. And then starting with Begin 77, the Likud is very traditionally religious. Over the years, Ben-Gurion had his own anti-religious members of his party, and therefore...
And I want to mention David Ben-Gurion was the first prime minister of Israel in 1948 when it became a state. He's the one who declared the state.
Right. And so Begin got along well with not only Haredi Ashkenazim.
Haredi meaning very ultra-Orthodox.
Right, but also Sephardi. Jews from Arab lands. Moroccan Jews, Syrian Jews, Egyptian Jews, Iraqi Jews. Begin and company got along tremendously well.
Spanish, of course.
And not too many Spanish actually, but the descendants of Spanish Jews. And so starting in the 80s, we got the Likud 77. Through the 80s, we got the Likud governments, and then a major political upheaval occurred. Shas was formed, which tore away the Sephardim, religious but also traditional, tore away the Sephardim by and large from the Likud party. And
It weakened the party.
Weakened the party tremendously. I have my own pet theory that Shimon Peres and Labor were behind the split, encouraging Rav Ovadia, but that's my pet theory. Maybe others feel that way.
But those of us who know Israel politics know that Likud took in Shimon Peres into their coalition under Netanyahu. He was even with the coalition.
Well, the coalitions that included Peres and the Likud were around 1988 to 92. There was a sort of a teku, a sort of a limbo, and they could do nothing else. Nobody could form a 61 coalition, and therefore Shamir, who is the head of the Likud now, and Begin having retired back in, I believe, 84, after Sabra and Shatila and all the upheavals of the First Lebanon War. So a late 80s now, Shamir and Peres have a rotation of a national unity government. Shamir for 2 years, I believe Peres for 2 years, and then Shamir was supposed to be for 2 years, and he was. There was a little Shas intrigue with Aryeh Deri and Peres, trying what Shamir called the dirty trick to have Peres not hand over the prime ministership to Shamir in 90, but he did. And then in 92, another big upheaval. Rabin wins, and Oslo peace plan. Virtually immediately, the shooting started. The buses blowing up. 94 November, Rabin is assassinated by Yigal Amir,
who's still in jail today. And then it's a
controversial issue still today. We're taping November 10th, 11th, and just in the last week there was a whole big brouhaha in Israel over what the government knew and who was behind Yigal Amir, because I'll throw this out.
Who shot Kennedy, right? In Israel, Israel's version of who shot Kennedy.
But it gets worse, because it's as if Kennedy, it's as if the Secret Service knew Lee Harvey Oswald and had a man operating Lee Harvey Oswald. In Israel, it was a man named Raviv, who was a Shabak Mossad agent, was running Yigal Amir for a year, knew Amir was stalking Rabin with a gun, and it's unheard of. And people have demanded explanations and get no explanation. How could the Secret Service or know the equivalent and not have stopped him? In fact, Raviv admitted that he handed bullets to Yigal Amir. There's all kinds of things that are not only not explained about that assassination, but I live in Israel. About a month before that assassination, Yitzhak Shamir, ex-prime minister, unseated in 92, but still a member, I believe still a member of Knesset at the time, came on the radio and said that, watch out. As the terror was rising, the buses were blowing up, the shootings were happening, Rabin's falling in the polls, Labor is going to pull another, I have to explain some history, Arlozorov-style assassination. Chaim Arlozorov was a big figure in what later became the Labor Party, in Ben Gurion's Jewish Agency Party back in the 30s, was a German Jew who was one of the negotiators with the Nazi government to get German Jews out of Nazi Germany in 1935, and I believe way over 100,000 German Jews were pulled out with what was called the transfer agreement. You can read about it, but somebody shot Arlozorov. The Labor Party claimed that it was a guy named Stavsky. His first name may have been Avram Stavsky, I don't remember, who was exonerated because he was nowhere near the area in Tel Aviv Beach. There's all kinds of theories of who was behind that one. Stavsky was later shot and killed. And Israeli politics and history is unbelievable. Shot and killed in 1948 during the War of Independence on the famous Altalena boat, where Yitzhak Rabin was standing on the beach, firing a cannon under Ben Gurion's orders to shoot to kill Begin, Stavsky, and the rest on the boat. 7 members of Begin's crew were killed.
I never knew that.
And if you want, there's a man at the Jewish Museum of London. We walked in there in 2014. I hope he's still alive. And I can't remember his name. A guide, when he heard we were from Israel, me, my wife, and the 2 youngest kids were in London, he said, I'm taking them around. And he said, I was on that boat. I stood next to Stavsky as he was shot, and he got the gun. And I was a 17-and-a-half-year-old kid fighting for the Jewish state, jumped off the boat with the rest, and yes, Rabin and his crew were shooting at us as we were swimming in the water. And he said he could hear shouts, Begin's there, shoot at him. It was, okay. So there's a lot of unexplained stuff in Israeli history, including the Altalena, which is, the story is fairly well known. Arlozorov not solved. Rabin not adequate answers. Even Dalia Rabin has brought up questions about what the heck happened that night. Okay, 96 rolls around. After Rabin is assassinated, Shimon Peres becomes interim prime minister, and so it must have been 95, I guess, November 95. 6 months later, Peres and Netanyahu go into an election, the first ever direct election of the prime minister. So we get 2 pieces of paper, 2 ballots, piece of paper. One is for prime minister, and you put it in this box. And one is for Knesset, you put it in that box.
Okay, now stop a second because I want to make this clear and clarify for our viewers. Generally, when there's an election in Israel, such as the recent ones, you are electing the parties, and the party chooses, or the party represents itself with who the leader of that party is, and that person will become prime minister if he can put together a coalition. In the case that you're talking about, it was that they did not elect parties to choose who the prime minister would be and put together a coalition.
Okay,
they elected a prime minister, and whoever the parties were the parties, he was prime minister no matter what.
That's right. So 2 ballots, 2 pieces of paper. The one ballot was simply Peres or Netanyahu. And Netanyahu pulled off a surprise victory. He actually got into a plane from Tel Aviv to Chicago, thinking Peres won by 2%, and Netanyahu won by less than 1%.
That was during his first term before he left being prime minister and came back again.
June 96.
So hold on a second, let me ask you this.
And then
was that
second.
What prompted this change of election laws or election ways where they did elect parties and then someone became prime minister who was the head of the party that put together the coalition that had the most votes? What changed that year that they started doing that, or they only did it that year?
The law had previously been changed. And it was changed, and this is cynical Dr. Hirsch, it was changed because the Labor Party felt that they had a winner. Nobody's going to beat Rabin. He's left over from the 48 war, from the 67 war. He was chief of staff. So the 6-Day War, he was, so we got a winner, let's have direct election. And Netanyahu wins.
But Parliament, Knesset, voted on changing the law.
That's true.
So why did they do that? Why did they agree to that? Because Labor wasn't all of Knesset.
Labor had a majority.
Why didn't everybody agree to that?
Well, Labor had a majority.
So the majority voted because they had a majority.
Right, and Labor pushed it because they felt they had the winner.
Now, are there votes that come through Knesset? They have to be 2/3, like sometimes we do here in Congress. For this situation, there have to be 2/3 a vote, and for this situation, it has to be a majority vote. Is it like that in Israel also, or is it always majority?
I don't know of any votes except for what they call basic laws that require more than a simple majority. look, Oslo itself was passed by a simple majority, and Peres did not. Shimon Peres is really the architect, way more than Rabin. And Rabin had his regrets by the time he was assassinated. He had gone in front of the Knesset saying, I don't know what these Palestinian Arabs are going to get, but it's not going to be a state because they're shooting and blowing up buses. That's one, that they couldn't be allowed to have a state with an army. Okay, but so as far as that's how it happened. We've got a winner, Rabin's left over from 48, they got nobody on the other side, they fought, so Netanyahu wins. Netanyahu stays in till 98. 98, Netanyahu ran into some sort of coalition problem, which I don't remember.
Early elections then?
It was early elections, and Ehud Barak got elected.
Correct.
And another direct election. And then in October 2000, Rosh Hashanah 2000, the bleep hit the fan, shooting all over the place. Shooting from Bethlehem into South Yerushalayim.
I remember that. Windows in South Yerushalayim were shot out.
Because the Kalashnikov can reach
right over the valley.
Yeah, it can reach a kilometer. It may not be able to kill with not even enough force at a kilometer, but they had to erect huge cement, 8-9 foot tall cement blocks
to protect the buildings
for a couple of kilometers over South Yerushalayim because of the shooting. I think I told this story. I walked into South Yerushalayim in a Magen David Adom ambulance for an American tourist who was shot in the head, but this bullet, because it was spent coming from Bethlehem, lost power, hit a picture window, and lodged between his scalp and his skull. And he was a very lucky man. Just a lot of blood, no major damage done. But so Barak was a totally ineffectual prime minister. Oh, he'd say to the Palestinian Authority, PLO, if you don't stop shooting, I give you 2 days, or else, stop shooting. 2 days go by, again, another ultimatum, or else. Went on for 3 weeks, till finally the Knesset just got rid of him because it was impossible. That was the second direct election, was Barak, and 2000, I believe, was the last one? Maybe not. Right, but
direct elections
from
the time before continued from then on until the laws were changed again. So
okay, so there was another election in 2000, and this time Sharon won. Mm-hmm. And
he stayed prime minister until his stroke.
05 till his stroke. Mm-hmm. Now, so there were 3 times direct election. Those direct elections.
Was he Likud, by the way?
It
was Likud, correct?
Okay. Around 2004 or maybe 5 when he had the stroke, all of a sudden an army of college students were seen on every street corner in America. Sign our petition, please, to get rid of direct election of the prime minister. It was way before Sharon had the stroke. It was probably 2003 or 4. And I refused to sign it. I go, what are you talking about? Oh, it's better for democracy, whatever it was. That was their rationale, and basically they disenfranchised all of us. Could you imagine somebody taking away from an American citizen his right to vote for the President of the United States? You can keep your right to vote for Congress, and this was exact parallel in Israel. It was ridiculous. It was just another time when they played with the election process, and they had dumb college students out there pushing people to sign this petition. Eventually went to the Knesset, and they undid direct election. Sort of analogous to the brainless college students who helped go down as an army to Florida and get Barack Obama elected in 2008 because they knew better than their Jewish grandparents, and had to convince them to vote for another
Democrat.
inept candidate.
So
that's the history.
Now hold on a second. Are you saying that Democratic candidates were all inept? I'm asking your opinion. What you're remember?
Mr.
By the way,
Obama.
we are not holding by Dr. Hirsch's
This is strictly my
opinion. They're his opinions, but we are listening to what he says because he's our commentator.
Okay, the whole Mideast. I live in the Mideast. The whole Mideast was on fire thanks to Mr. Obama. You had the Libyan Stevens ambassador killed for pure ineptitude on the parts of Hillary Clinton and Obama. They should have gotten the guy out of there. They had every chance to send in soldiers to do it.
But he got Osama bin Laden, though.
Yeah, he got Osama bin Laden. Thank you very much. But yes, he did. He got his ambassador in Libya killed. He got the whole Middle East inflamed. There was a famous political cartoon during this time with Libyan flames, Yemen, Sudan, everybody, all over, Tunisia even. The Arab Spring has gotten the Muslim Brotherhood, Mr. Mubarak in jail and the Muslim Brotherhood in, and it's all due to the fact that Mr. Obama did not want to get involved with Middle East politics at all. He was all in favor of all these grassroots rebellions all over the Middle East. And there was a famous political cartoon where Putin decides he's going to jump into the Crimea, jump and attack the Ukraine. And the political cartoon is throne of the world, sits empty, Mr. Obama is standing in front of it, and Putin's running up to the throne. The throne is empty, I might as well sit. That's exactly what we saw from the Middle East.
I understand. I'm playing devil's advocate, by the way. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you, but I want to come back. When was the Libyan revolution?
Also during the Arab Spring. Gaddafi was
while Obama was president?
That was while Obama was
so that's
president.
that's another positive.
2011.
Another positive in the Middle East from Obama's line that Gaddafi was gone during his time.
Sorry, but Gaddafi actually, ever since the mid-'80s, Gaddafi was a terrorist. Gaddafi downed Lockerbie. Right after Gaddafi pulled another thing, if you remember, Ronnie Reagan in the late 80s tried to kill Gaddafi. He shot missiles into his palaces and killed members of his family. And immediately afterwards, Gaddafi gave up his nuclear aspirations and towed the line for the next 25 years. No, it was not good to get rid of these guys were holding the line. Even, it may not have been a good idea to get rid of Saddam Hussein. It wasn't a good idea to get rid of Mubarak. It wasn't a good idea to get rid of Gaddafi. Okay, so let's go on to, direct election of the Prime Minister. Had there been, in April, direct election of the Prime Minister, there is no doubt that Netanyahu would have won. He's got the bigger block. He right now sits on more Knesset seats than Gantz. Gantz thought he had more, but by Bennett signing in with the Likud right now, I think it's about 35 to 33. Netanyahu has more seats in the Knesset.
But not enough for a coalition to be Prime Minister.
His block only has
without another
55. Okay. That's thanks to that stubborn, anti-religious Mr. Lieberman. But I don't really want to get into that one. So they fiddled with the elections, direct election, and then they fiddled several times, raising, this one is a corker. No American could understand this one. Fiddling with the threshold for getting into the Knesset. It used to be about 1%, and they had parties of 2 guys. At one point they had parties of 1 guy. Kahana was in there by himself. They 1 to 2, now it's 3.25% or something in the recent raising the threshold. The supposed rationale is it doesn't work, the Knesset. We've got to eliminate, get this, the small parties in the name of democracy. Now, if that isn't the biggest oxymoron on the face of the Mideast, excuse me, well, that's because the ideal Israeli politician in the eyes of Israelis is the bulldozer. And who was called the bulldozer? Ariel Sharon. bulldoze them. I don't want to negotiate with another party. I don't want to listen to another party. I want to bulldoze another party. So let's get rid of all those small parties. Stupidest thing they could ever done. Again, had they not raised the threshold from 2 to 3.25%, in April, everything's done. Because Bennett and Shaked are in, Lieberman loses 3 or 4 seats, and Netanyahu has his 61. But they fiddled. The fiddlers on the roof, they're the best fiddlers.
So we have 3 or 4 minutes left only, believe it or not.
Okay.
So I really want to come to a conclusion of what's going to happen now. Now, we are at the point now where there is no coalition. Netanyahu is still prime minister, but there has to be a conclusion to this situation. What is your prediction that will happen, because there's no answer yet? There has been no answer given. The parliament, the Knesset has not come out and said,
okay,
this is what we're going to do for another election, or this is how we're going to handle it. What is your opinion?
The country is functioning right now. Whether if another budget had to be passed, whether you could do it, because you usually need 61, I don't know. And the answer overall, I can give you Rav Kaduri's answer. Rav Kaduri was a Mikubal. He was a 90-something when we hit the country in '89.
Capitalist.
Yes, and capitalist, and passed away at the age of 105 or something. His prediction was, Mashiach will come when the Israelis cannot elect a prime minister. Okay, so I don't know what's going to happen. I know what Peres would have done, the same thing he did to pass Oslo. He didn't have 61 to pass Oslo. He bribed 3 members of a right-wing party to go along with Oslo. He gave one a vice ministry. He gave Mr. Goldfarb, he gave him a Mitsubishi, and Svetlana, somebody else, a Russian lady, I don't know what he gave her.
Isn't that like
Trump?
No. Isn't that like the governor of Illinois selling a seat to be a senator
There
after
you go.
Obama becomes president?
Yeah.
Isn't it? And then going to jail for 13 years?
But the left can always get away with it. It's the right can never get away with that kind of stuff.
Oh, and Netanyahu accepts cigars and he's under indictment.
There you go. So there you go. So that's dirty Israeli politics. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean,
This show will most likely, for sure, air before a conclusion happens. So your prediction of not knowing is a proper prediction.
Okay. I don't know.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for your opinions. I want to thank you for sharing with me. As once again, Dr. Hirsch's opinions are his opinions, not ours. But he knows so much about what's going on and lives in the West Bank and passes through these areas every day, and so it's good to hear from him, what his impressions are living there. Dr. Hirsch, thank you for being on the show. Remember, you can check out our website, www.tvrabbi.com. You can also see former shows on the web. If you want to email us here at the show, or email Dr. Hirsch. info@tvrabbi.com is the email address, and I will forward that to Dr. Hirsch, and I know he'll reply to you personally. And thank you for being with us. We look forward to his next visit to Chicago. We look forward to seeing you next week right here on Take with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.
Hi, this is John Records Landecker, and this has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.